nice to be here. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the program Flipside. My name is Daisy Leo Asikidi, your host on the show today. You know, on the 9th day of September, the United Nations decided that they will make that day for an observance. All over the world, they're supposed to be talking about protecting education from attack. So September 9 is the United Nations International Day on Protecting Education from Attack. It started 2020, and they said between 2015 and 2019, at least 93 countries in the world recorded one form of attack in a school. Now, we know that there is a war in Ukraine. We know that Afghanistan, the women there are crying that they want to go to school. But come home to Nigeria now, federal colleges are being through a lot. And I feel their pain because I also went to a federal government college. And so education has been under attack for some time now, and we need to learn how we can protect education from attack. The bulk of the people who are suffering this are usually girls. We are not even many in school though. Now we have a lot of girls afraid to go to school today. And if the woman is not educated, then the entire nation is going to suffer. On Flipside today, we'll be talking about protecting education from attack, and I have two seasoned professionals in the house to talk about this with me. And I will reveal my guest shortly. We'll quickly just take a message from the United Nations. It's a 45 seconds message telling us what's going on around the world, especially in Africa. So we'll prepare our mind to know how important this is. We'll be right back. All right, so we're just going to jump right into the discussion without wasting any more of our time. Sitting very close to me is a lecturer that many broadcasters in Benin already know, and they know him as Mr. Sunny Love. You know, we always give our teachers nicknames. I have here Sunny Ekerikere with me in the house. Sunday Ekerikere is from the University of Benin. He's a lecturer from mass communication. It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here too. And good afternoon, viewers as well.
All right. This academia did not teach me, unfortunately, because I did not study mass comm. But he taught a lot of my colleagues, like a whole lot of them. And then I have the visionary of one of the biggest special needs school in Benin. In fact, many people do not even know that there are private schools for special needs children. When we even talk about special needs, some will just limit it to being deaf, blind, or dumb. We don't even know about autism and several other cases that children have. I have the vision bearer here in the studio of one of the biggest schools. Don't worry, you'll find out in a jiffy. Her name is Osarieme Isaac Aliyu. Good to have you in the studio today.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to talk about protecting education from attack. And I would ask the both of you this particular question because from your own view, I want to know what constitutes as an attack on education. I know you put on strike, so maybe.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, let me set the ball rolling. From my own perspective, attack on education could be divided into two categories. We have the ideological attack and we have the physical attack. The ideological attack has to do with all forms of pre-informed and predetermined insinuations, feelings, perception, ideas that negate the advancement of knowledge, the interaction between students and teachers, anything that negates the principles of learning new things, doing research, finding out things, and studying is an attack. And so when the parents, for instance, doesn't want the female child to attend school because she's a female, that is an ideological attack. When some persons feel that education is a scam, is an ideological attack. Then the physical attack has to do with physically disrupting everything that has to do with learning, by adoption, by kidnapping, by one form of disruption or the other, killing and whatever, so that people will be filled with fear to the extent that they will be discouraged from attending schools. So these are what constitute the attacks on education. Okay.
From your own perspective, ma'am.
Yes, like he rightly said, attack on education can be physical, like he said, or like when the military will use our schools and universities as a base, thus during the wars, thus carrying the students out of there is an attack on education. Like he rightly said, parents stopping the children, especially the girl child, not to go to school, that is an attack on education. Lecturers on strike is an attack. Anything that will obstruct the flow of education, of learning, is an attack on education. Like most children with disability, like you said, depriving them from going to school is an attack on their education. If they are not educable, they can be trainable. So what is education? You have to put something to do. A nation without education for the youth has no future, right? But when this thing is being obstructed, then education is attacked. Like when this attack on education started from
Chibok girls.
Chibok girls, but worldwide, let's quickly go there. I'll be brief. When it was started in the state of Qatar, supported by about 62 other countries, right? Because they saw that worldwide, globally, education is being attacked on a daily basis. You understand? Like between 2021 to 2022, 5,000 attacks on education worldwide. Then between that period, 9,000 students and educational personnel were harmed in 85 countries.
Wow.
You can see how education is being attacked. The students are vulnerable in most countries, including Nigeria. The Chibok girls, they were kidnapped. The recent kidnap of those children from the Muslim school. You see, there is obstructed. You see these children being out there, some begging, they were supposed to be in school, is being disturbed. The flow of education. Disturbing the flow of education definitely is an attack on education.
Interesting. Okay, we are going to hit the matter. We already know what this attack is. How do we prevent these attacks? I know schools just resumed. Your school, you have pupils. ASU's strike has not allowed university students go back. ASU and federal government saga. And I don't want to say it's ASU's fault because it almost sounded as if I was saying that. And they've not gone back to school. But primary and secondary schools have resumed this week. So what ways would you suggest to government's officials, to the government, to protect or prevent these attacks from happening? I would ask you this because I would also talk about the schools proper. I would even talk about your school. So
okay, thank you very much. What can the government do? To start with, we have the wrong orientation about education in almost every part of the world. And the orientation, we have a faulty orientation. We've not come to realize that if you want to attack a country, you don't use guns, you don't use weaponry. What you do is to attack the education. So an attack on education is an attack on a nation. And what most persons are doing when they disrupt academic flow is that they are attacking the nation. And that is quite heartbreaking. So what can the government do? Because even the government itself has this mentality, especially the Nigerian government. For instance, ASUA has been on strike for the past 7 months or so, and the government have not shown the willingness, the political willingness and commitment in resolving this crisis. And they keep dangling here and there. For 7 months, I have not received my salary. In fact, coming here, I had to borrow money to be here. That's just the truth.
Wow.
Yes, because I saw the invitation as community service, as part of our community service. So I had to rally around because the invitation came late. I had to rally around. In fact, special thanks to sweet mother in the Ekewa campus of the university that gave me the push and the transport to be here. So the process is already on, the attack is already there. So the government should start with the right orientation. They need to have the right orientation that education is important for the growth of any society. Now, when this right orientation is there, then they will now begin to formulate good policies that will take education to a competitive level. Now, for instance, the budget in education in Nigeria is so poor, especially to tertiary education. In fact, generally, it was a little bit high during the time of Goodluck Jonathan. But now we complain that it was very low during the time of Goodluck Jonathan, but it was reduced during this present administration to about 5%. And UNESCO has prescribed that at least 25% of the annual budget should be accrued to education, and this is not done. And that is why you see that we now have big graduates and all that, because it indirectly or directly affects productivity in one way or the other. So the first thing that the government should do is to have the right orientation and know that they need to take care of the educational sector, because without education is the foundation. The other day I was discussing with a friend, Dr. F.P. Olise, and we were trying to brainstorm. We were asking ourselves, what is the first profession on earth? You see, we came to realize that the first profession is not even farming, it's not even prostitution as some people believe. It is teaching, it's education. You see, it is among the 5 professions. And so, for every of the areas, various areas of human endeavor, you must teach the person. The person must acquire one form of knowledge or the other. So education is very important. So they need to have the right orientation. They need to have the right policies in place. That they need to adequately motivate education, anybody that has to do with education, all the stakeholders, teachers, the pupils, by providing good infrastructures and facilities for teaching and learning and all that. So when government put all these things in place, you discover that education will stand its right place and will be able to perform the role that it's supposed to perform in the society.
Okay. You're from the private sector now, because your school is a private one. And good thing you've been in the UK for a while. So the United States for a while. So we're just going to link it. Some of the policies they have there that is making, we know that we still have some cases of attacks in schools there. Maybe a child comes to school with a gun or a knife and some disasters happen, but it's not as common as it would be if we had the liberty they have when it comes to carrying guns. If it were to be we that had those guns, maybe we'll be recording these attacks daily. So what policies do your school have in place to protect its pupils, comparing it to where you're coming from, and other schools in general as an advice to them?
before I talk of my school, let me talk in general.
Yes.
We can't concentrate on the universities alone. The children have to get education before they get there.
Sure.
Right. So in our society, I'm grateful to the Edo State government. He has set the ball rolling, that if you are seen outside, supposed to be of school age, you are not there, your parents will be arrested and all. They've started doing that. And thanks to, is it Dr. Oviawe, the Commissioner for Education, that has been put in place. One, we are talking about preventing attack on education. Now, like what we call the lockdown, we have to practice training our teachers, our personnel. In case of emergency, what do you do? Let the children know what to do. The teacher should know what to do. Like I train them. In case of emergency, if you hear anything, this is the route, the only route you can take out of the school. You are not going to go out of the school, but this is where you go for rescue or refuge
like
before help comes in.
Exit.
The exit. We call it lockdown in the US. So there's a lockdown, there is an emergency, there's a lockdown, everybody, this is where you take nicely and quietly. You train them, you train the children, like you at times, you make them practice it often and often in case the real emergency comes in. So they are being trained. They are being, they do the orientation, let me put it that way, all the time. So the lockdown, at times in my school they say there's a lockdown. So the children, they know what to do. We all know what to do. So we have to train our personnel, the government too have to do their own part, and the masses, we have to change our attitude. It's not just the government. We voted them there. So we should make things easy for them to do. If everybody does what they're supposed to do, if you do what you're supposed to do, I do what I'm supposed to do, it will be easier for the government. Edo State is free education. If you take your child to school, fair enough, that child will be admitted. You don't expect the governor to come, or the government of the day, or the commissioner for education to come from house to house, taking children to school. That is why I say we have to change our attitude to prevent this attack as well.
Okay.
Not just the government.
In addition to what Mommy has said, I want to add quickly that with the type of attacks that is becoming prevalent in most schools, we should have a security call. Yes, security call. Like I once told my student that when you hear a gun, what's the first thing you do? You
lie down.
Yes, you take cover. So some security tips should also be taught in schools, so that at least when there is emergency, you can know what to do. You lie down. Then when you lie down, what's the next stage? You listen to the direction of the gunshot, for instance, and you do what we call crawling. You crawl to the opposite direction before you take your exit. What if they surrounded the entire place? What do you do? So these are some of the tips that we need to also inculcate on our children. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to the various governments to introduce security studies in school, because schools are becoming so vulnerable, especially, of course, in recent times we've heard cases of schools that have been attacked, especially in the north. The case of the Chibok girls, the Baptist High School girls, and so on. And we never can tell how the time that is going, it can spread to the south too. So we need to be proactive and ensure that we are adequately set for any eventuality.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the staff. Ma'am said they do drills and they prepare both the students, the pupils, and the teachers. But in a situation where, okay, I've applied to teach before during my service year. I eventually ended up doing it as a volunteer work. I didn't get paid. My mom is a teacher and I wanted to just experience it. So the few things that I was asked was just bring your CV. Then they did something like a practical teaching. They gave me a topic and I taught it and they observed. Beyond that, when you were also given your job, did they do anything, an investigation to your background, your character, your psychology, beyond your credentials? Was that ever done to you in the government sector? And do you think things like that should be introduced now before staff are employed into schools?
Yes, and I want to quickly add that some schools, they do a thorough evaluation of the individual involved.
Okay.
They'll want to look at your psychology, for instance, and they want to see your passion, because I've taught in KGs, I've taught KG 1, 2, 3, I've taught in primaries, I've taught in secondary, I've taught in the polytechnics, and I'm now in the university. So in fact, some children have put on my body when I was teaching KG. Those are big boys now. So now I think the first that an employer of teacher should look for is someone that has passion for a child, for teaching, for education. It is not everybody that are called to be teachers. So you must be able to identify this and start from that. Then you could do a background check, whether the person have elements of criminality and all that, but that should be personal. But I think the first is to find out whether the person actually have passion for teaching. I was interacting with one of my professors yesterday. He's an associate professor of mathematics, and he was sharing with me that one of the problems that we have in the teaching of mathematics is that most mathematics teachers don't know how to pass the knowledge to others. So there should be a special skills. The person must be good in the transfer of this knowledge, and he must be passionate about it, so that he will be able to impart on the students. Then most essentially, with the high rates of attacks that we are experiencing these days, the persons also should be checked mentally, because there are some teachers that might be involved in drug and all that. So you cannot employ that type of person to begin to teach, because those persons will end up introducing some of those things to the kids too.
True.
So you have to look, does this person smoke? Is he an alcoholic? Does he take drugs? Is he psychologically sound? Is he mentally stable? When I was employed, I passed through all the medical tests. You have to look at your stability. Like I was employed in the university, I passed through all the medical tests. They look at my stability, they look at my functionality. Can I cope with the stress? So these are the things that employer of teachers, among others though, employer of teachers should look for when employing teachers. So I want to subscribe to the view that this should be introduced, yes, to boost the educational structure and system in contemporary society.
Okay, so ma'am, do you do such investigations for your teachers? Because your school is not just for children, it's even special.
Yes.
So, and we're hearing cases of abuse, pedophiles and all of that. So do you do thorough investigations as well?
One, you must have passion.
Sure.
2, you must be a special need teacher. Can you do this job? 3, background check. You must do your background check. You must go for medical checkup. If I don't mind paying for it, but you have to do all this. And like you said, mental stability. If someone has a mental problem and is being controlled, like we don't in the US, we don't see mental problem as a big deal. If it's a managed one, you take your medications, you are functional. So if you take your medication regularly, you are all right. You understand what I mean? So that, for mental problem, it's not enough to deny anybody of the job.
Okay.
If it's a monitored and managed mental problem. But you have to be aware that this person has some kind of mental problem. I can handle it because I'm a special need teacher.
Yes.
So we can handle that. It's still under neuro disability. And they had to do their medical, very important. what sickness do you have? Are you coming with hepatitis A, B, C? Are you coming with this, that? You know, are you coming with a sickness that is not curable? You have to go. That is why I so much appreciate this do HIS, and we key to it. My school key to it. The school pays 50% and the teachers pay 50% for their health. You have to be healthy. You have to have passion for it. It has to be sort of teaching, like he said, some don't know how to teach mathematics. Reading mathematics doesn't mean you are a math teacher. Myself, I'm math major. I'm a math teacher, yes.
Dear God.
Yes. So, you are taught to teach mathematics. It's different from you reading mathematics. If I teach mathematics, I had mathematics to master's level. You have a PhD in mathematics. You might know mathematics more than myself, but you cannot teach mathematics better than I do. So you have to know the area, your strength. I cannot put a brain teacher in a class of HI, hearing impairment. No, a sign language person has to be there. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just putting them together. You put HI, visual, autism, everybody in one class. ADHD, all of them in one class. No, the teacher had to be trained to know how to separate them. Like I give them a workshop, the workshop should, when they come in, differentiated instruction. How do you differentiate them when you are giving instruction, when you are teaching them? How do you put them in groups? So these things have to be done first before they start. You let them go to the classroom.
And most
And close monitoring.
Yeah.
And most importantly, a teacher should have emotional intelligence. Must be emotional intelligent. Undolo, 2006, in his book Interpersonal Communication, Readings in Interpersonal Relationship, emphasize the need to be sensitive in interpersonal communication. And you know, teaching is majorly interpersonal communication. And that is where psychology comes in. You must be very sensitive. You may see a class of 30, a particular pupil behaving strangely. You have to look at that child and find out why he or she is behaving that way. You may be having some difficulties at home, you see. So psychology comes in and sensitivity comes in, and so you must be emotionally sensitive.
Okay. I totally understand where you're coming from on that one. That's why most of these schools should have counselors, because it's not even everyone that can talk with the child and get information that is needed from the child. All right, we're going to break quickly. We'll give you the news headlines and the discussion, the concluding part of the discussion will be coming your way shortly. All right, we're talking about protecting education from attack, and according to the United Nations, there are several ways education is being under attack. It starts from forced labor, children not being in school because they're making money for the family against their will, issues of sexual violence, maybe teachers harassing the pupil or even a student, even in universities, we have that happening. Bullying, you know, could also be a way something that could stop a child from wanting to go to school. It could be bully from the fellow classmates. It could even be from the older ones. And it's just really another sad and pathetic situation that a lot of children are dealing with in recent times. And most schools do not even know how to handle that aspect in their schools. They don't want to lose customers. All right. We also have cases like abduction, which is now very common and the one we most relate with. We have recruitment of child soldiers, and that one we saw in movies like Hotel Rwanda, and even in the Biafra War. Then I heard there were children that were given guns to fight. So you take them away from the classrooms and you make them do these things. You're attacking their education. I have two people in the studio and we've been talking, and we're just going to be concluding these discussions briefly. I have Mr. Sunnylove, aka, that's alias, and I have Mrs. Isaac Ali as well in the studio. And these ones have been in the academic field for quite some time. So they are very, very seasoned professionals, like I said earlier. All right, let's talk quickly about, since adoption seems to be the most talked about now, the most trending in the news, we've been talking about it. Most of these children, when they're abducted, the kidnappers ask for ransom. Of course, before the abduction takes place, they key some and they begin to release them in batches. Now, the federal government has come up with this new one that we should not pay ransom anymore. And so, what would then happen? What would you advise the government to do for situations where children are abducted and the kidnappers are asking for ransom? What then? Would we just leave children in the hands of these people?
If I have to talk about that, before the adoption, before that decision, which I support, we should raise the security. No, not just the government now. We have to be security conscious, right? Then the government has to boost our security system. I don't believe in paying ransom. Because when you want peace, you should be ready for war. It's a common saying. If you pay ransom, they're going to come back over and over and over again. You understand? If it is stopped once, then okay, you want to keep them, fine. Then let our security men, honestly, work like that. Let them go out. Let us fight it out for once. Because they're going to continue giving people hypertension. You are not even sure how many they're going to release. After paying the ransom, some of them are already killed. Before paying the ransom. After paying the ransom, they release some batch, and there is some of the children are still keep some, still asking for ransom. No way. Let's stop the ransom of these children. They are fathers too. They are mothers, those of them kidnapping these children. If you want peace in anywhere in the world, you should be ready for war.
Parents will cry.
Of course. Even when ransom is paid, we cry.
Now, in as much as that is a very good suggestion, in reality, it's very difficult.
Oh, very.
Very difficult because the government will decide not to pay ransom, but the individual families
will be
willing to pay the ransom just to rescue their loved ones. So it becomes a very dicey situation. But be as it may, it's my opinion that we are preempting. We adopt a preventive measure. We should not even allow kidnapping and abduction in the first place.
Yeah, so we should be proactive instead of reactive.
Yes, that would be the best way to solving this problem. We should put all things in place that will minimize all forms of adoption, especially in our institutions, so that by the time one or two persons attempt it and they are caught red-handed and they are sent to the right place, others will be discouraged from further engaging in the act, because they are seeing this abduction and kidnapping as a very lucrative business.
No, it
because
is.
people keep paying ransom, paying money and all that. So in fact, it is estimated that in Nigeria they've realized more than 30 billion naira in kidnapping in the last few years. So that's a big amount of money. Remember that Methodist cleric was kidnapped and they asked for 100 million naira. You see, and various kidnapping here and there. So we have to find a way to stop this act to start with. So we should employ preventive measure.
Yes.
Preventive measure.
Interesting. Okay, what are some of the effects if we do not need this old situation at the board? It's spreading. Started small, but it's now so common. I don't think anyone gets shocked when they hear it on the news that 500 children were kidnapped anymore. It's not shocking anymore. We've been hearing it. So if we do not stop this trend now, do something about it to ensure it, what's the long-term effects we'll be looking out to see?
Yes, you see, from December 2021 also to September now, 1,436 children and 17 teachers have been kidnapped. You understand? But if we have our security men in place, well equipped, it will be difficult to happen. And that is still the same thing I said before. Let's boost our security system. Okay. You see, for example, we're talking, what led us here is attack on education. You know, at first, the first thing I said was that the masses had to change their ways. Like, I went to Hege I go around the special schools. The government spent millions in equipping the school for the blind. Society, no, community, they went there and vandalized the whole thing. Everything, even the protectors on the window, they removed them. I broke down emotionally. They removed us, destroying the wall. I couldn't bear it. After equipping that place, that kind of a person, if he's caught, let that person go to jail for life. But we say it's bailable, this, that. No. Let there be punitive measure. If these people are caught, the kidnappers, there's no point judging it for, let's say, let them be there for 2 years, they're still going back to court, back and forth, back and forth. No. Let it go like that, and let there be punitive measure for those that are caught. And the security system should be.
Okay.
And on that, note, okay. I want to encourage state policing in this regard, because we are becoming increasingly insecure. So it's not just the children that are being kidnapped, teachers are being kidnapped, their parents too. Because one way they can attack education too is to attack the parents. Because it's the parents that are going to take care of the children. So the Bible says, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. So it is not just about the children, they're also kidnapping parents, teachers, everybody is insecure. So community policing should be encouraged, and they should be well trained, so that at least we can have an air of relief.
Interesting. Okay, on a final note, before I let you both go, you've had a robust conversation. I would have your last words on this topic before we go. But can education indeed, investing more in education, ensure a crisis-free nation? Do you think we can achieve a crisis-free nation just because government invests more in education?
Okay, we may not be able to totally avert a crisis-free nation. There is no nation that, because the word crisis here means anything that has to do with violence.
Yes.
Now, education will minimize it. Education will change the narratives and the various techniques and procedures of resolving issues. Because one of the problems, one of the reasons why people go into crime, into violence, into kidnapping and whatever, is due to one form of disagreement or the other, and discontentment. One form of people are not happy, yes, and they are not happy. For instance, there are no jobs and no provision for them, so they have no option than to take up arm and all that. But if some of these things are put in place, you discover that, especially from the government sector, you discover that they will be able to, the rate of crime will be minimized. And if people are educated, the rate at which you do things, your perception about things changes. Yes. You see, people have committed suicide because they've not been paid, but I've never done that because I know that if I commit suicide, I will go to hell. That's what my religion taught me, and that's education. I also know that we have about 5 types of suicide, and from the book, the Suicide, is a study on sociology, written by a French woman. Now, I know. So this is what education equips you with. It equips you with knowledge. It equips you with understanding. So the way you perceive things will now be different. While others are moving the way that is not good, because you are educated, you won't toe that line, because you have informed decision. You have informed knowledge that is helping you to take informed decision.
Okay.
Education, yeah.
Can we really achieve that? Because if we still look at the Western world, they
Yes.
have a lot of problems too.
Yes, a lot.
A lot. But it's okay.
Yeah. People come to the classroom with a gun, students.
Yes.
You know,
They even learn to shoot early.
They shoot everywhere. You know, that is why, like, it's hard. It's not easy for them to really go in. It has to be. I remember in my classroom in Osborne High School in Detroit, Michigan, the child in my class came to the classroom. They have a metal detector but what they do, they will come in. Their friends will open the back door, which is bolted, for them to come in with a gun. You see how they do it? They beat the security system. There is crime everywhere. Education will not reduce crime. Like counseling, fine, which is part of education too, can help. Our boys are in school, they're in courts, they are in school, they are in higher institution. They are being educated. Court members, they go around killing themselves. Are they not in the higher institution? Is that not education? Education actually is not, it has to start from the home. The home has 85% to play in the whole thing to cut down crime. From baby, you start to tell your child crime is wrong, cultism is wrong, and all. Not when they get to the university. Some parents know they hide it. They know, they say, no, my child can't do that. And they know their children are doing it. So education actually will help, like my colleague has said.
To an extent.
But to an extent. I've always said, not everyone that goes through school, the school goes through. You can go through the school and the school doesn't go through you. So we come back to the same thing. So the home, the third time before the education can help.
I'm not going to ask you to say any other thing. I will just end it there. And do you want to add anything to all of this?
What I would have loved to add is, why do people go into crime? You are educated, you are in school, for instance, you see them joining court, for instance. It's because of insecurity. They find themselves in a place where others are bullying them, and they also want to protect themselves, so they go and join irreverent court. So you discover that people do things as a result of something, the law of causes in philosophy. And what we need to do now is to deorient them and say, no, this is not the way. And it is also society that created these various strata, these various anomalies, this class thing. The one is up there, the other one is low here, and the low is being oppressed. And so, and in trying to protect himself, the low will have to put all things in place that may even negate the social norm of the society. And that is already going into the criminal way. So the entire structure is part of what is responsible for the abnormality that we're experiencing. And it's not totally education. And so education interrogates, how do we solve these problems? How do we solve them? There's a crime. Well, how do we solve it? So by the time we put heads together, we identify the root cause, we diagnose the problem, we cannot prefer solution. And this is also what education does. So education, one way or the other, can help to minimize crime. That is my position.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say thank you to both of you for your time today. I really learned a lot. It's been very informative. And the good news is, for anyone who missed out on any part of this discussion, you can get a repeat broadcast from our YouTube channel as we upload the videos today, or even on Facebook. We also went live, of course. And you can also watch it again tomorrow on GoTV and Star Times, and of course TSTV. It's been a pleasure. It's been great. I will hold on to one particular thing. The home has a whole lot to play in having a safe society. we as a nation, we have to put all our hands together to make our environment safe. These criminals that are abducting children, that are kidnapping children, that are maiming children, that are forcing children into labor, that are using them for sexual exploitation and all of those, they live within us, they live amongst us. People see them, they know them, and they're not doing anything about it. So we have to do this cleansing as a group work. We're going to do it together, hold hands together to achieve that success. It's been great, of course, and I will leave you here with the very short documentary on banana. You know, on Flipside, we always give you something totally different from what we discussed, something about your health. It's going to be a short one, but the much we can take, we'll take it right now. Bye. Ripe, rich, and delicious, bananas are one of the most popular fruits that are easily available all year round. However, there are some Weight Watchers who will raise their eyebrows if they are asked to include it in their diet, because banana is rich in calories. They will soon know why this awesome fruit deserves to be loved and eaten. Bananas are exceptionally healthy as they provide numerous health benefits. It is a versatile fruit that contains many nutrients, including vitamins A, B, C, and E, along with minerals like potassium, zinc, iron, and manganese. Just as eating a banana helps in keeping your body in good health, in great shape, application of this fruit on your hair and skin will help you keep them in great condition. Now, let's take a quick look at the benefits of banana. Banana gives instant surge of energy. It does this by converting the natural sugars in it into instant energy, and this is one of the reasons sportsmen consume it during intervals. Bananas can be eaten whole, as part of a salad, as a healthy beverage, or as an ingredient of a vegetable. It is a fruit made by God for one and all, and for every age group, to provide required energy throughout the day. Bananas does great miracles in our stomach. Banana enhances digestive ability because it is very rich in fructooligosaccharides, which acts as a friendly bacteria. It stimulates the production of enzymes that enables absorption of nutrients, thus enhancing the digestive ability. Also, certain substances in bananas stimulate the cells which make up the stomach lining. This enables production of a thicker protective mucous barrier against stomach acids, thereby combating stomach ulcers. At the same time, it relieves from constipation because the peptine found in bananas help to alleviate constipation and improves bowel functions, as well as cure bile. Bananas are also a good source of potassium, calcium, and magnesium, which aid in maintaining normal blood pressure and are heart protective. The high potassium content promotes bone health, keeps the mental faculties vigilant, enhances brain power, and boosts learning abilities. Due to the high amount of potassium, it also reduces the occurrence of stroke. Bananas can also reduce the risk of various types of cancer, especially bowel cancer, because of the antioxidants and dietary fiber in it. Banana helps in regulating anemia as they contain high levels of iron, which helps regulate the hemoglobin levels in the body. The antacid substance in banana gives immense relief from heartburn as well. Beyond the health benefits, you can rub the inside of a banana peel on your leather shoes or handbags and polish with a dry cloth afterwards for a quick shine. Rub banana peel on your teeth for about 2 minutes every time you brush, and you'll be well on your way to having that pearly white teeth. It also gets rid of acne. Rub your acne with the white side of a banana peel, leave it on your face for some minutes, and then rinse. Well, are you craving the sweet stuff but don't have the time, the calories, or budgets to spare? Simply blend a well-frozen solid banana in a food processor
or blender. You'll be surprised how much it tastes like soft served ice cream. You may need to add a little more cream or flour, honey or chocolate to obtain the consistency of thick cream of yogurt. I know you will never look at a banana the same way again after discovering the many health benefits and reasons to add them to your diet. Bananas combat depression, make you smarter, cure hangovers, relieve morning sickness, protect against kidney cancer, diabetes, osteoporosis, and blindness. They can cure the itch of a mosquito bite, fertilize your plants when they decay on the ground, and many more. So please, include a banana in your diet today for these and more. Your body is your responsibility. Please take good care of it.